FBI documents have shown that Gallo crew leader Larry Gallo sat down with FBI agents on several occasions and divulged mafia secrets. But why did Larry Gallo turn informant? Let's check it out. I'm James Gladwish and welcome to OC Shorts, bringing you detailed historical snapshots of the American Mafia and other organised crime. Feel free to subscribe if you like that sort of thing. Today, we're going to take a quick look at a few potential reasons behind why Larry Gallo provided Cosa Nostra secrets to the authorities. As is famously known, in the early 1960s, a faction of mobsters affiliated with the Profaci crime family rebelled against their boss, Joseph Profaci. This rebel faction was led by Larry Gallo, and along with his brothers, Crazy Joe Gallo and Albert Kid Blast Gallo, amongst several other mobsters, went to war against the Profaci family, the family that they had formerly been associated with. In a previous video, I covered the story that during the Gallo-Profaci war, rebel leader Larry Gallo sat down on his own accord with the authorities and divulged Cosa Nostra secrets. But why did Larry Gallo choose to become an active informant for a period of time? Before we take a look at the motives for Gallo talking to the FBI, let's take a quick look at some of the information that he divulged. One of Larry Gallo's FBI files states, "The position of the commission is explained by the following information furnished by Lawrence Gallo, who was interviewed on the evening of May 11, 1962, at Angus Steakhouse, Bronxville, New York. It is noted that Gallo is currently having a dispute with Joseph Profaci in New York. Gallo was questioned as to whether there was any organizational setup in the underworld. Gallo's reply was that there had to be an organizational setup, and the lower men in the organizational setup would be button men, and that he, Gallo, had formerly been a button man in the past under Joseph Profaci. As can be seen, Larry Gallo states that he had formerly been a button man or made man for Joseph Profaci. Let's take a look at some further information that he divulged. Gallo further described the organizational setup by stating that there was a group of men in the country of high rank in the underworld, belonging to what has been called the Commission. These men are persons of high rank and to whom a great deal of respect was owed, and that these men acted as arbitrators, settling disputes that arose in the underworld. He cited as an example of the type of disputes these men would arbitrate, the current dispute between Joseph Profaci and Gallo. Gallo stated that the organizational setup was similar to a military arrangement, and that each commission member would have his own organization, and the persons that owed allegiance to this man would be considered as belonging to this man's family. Gallo further stated that men such as Joseph Profaci, Thomas Lucchese, Carlo Gambino, and Vito Genovese were due a high degree of respect and were members of the leadership group called the Commission. In another document from another meeting with Larry Gallo, he would advise the FBI, during an interview of Lawrence Gallo on March 28, 1962, Gallo advised that peace negotiations to settle the dispute with Joseph Profaci were going on. While he would not be specific, Gallo stated that most of the terms of the peace settlement had already been decided, but that the major block to the final settlement to the dispute was Profaci himself. A further FBI document outlines Larry Gallo's identity as an FBI source. The file reads, DET-27 is Lawrence Gallo, New York City racketeer. So let's go back to the original question. Why did Larry Gallo decide to sit down and talk freely about mob activities with the FBI? One of the first reasons can be traced back to a comment that he made in one of his discussions with the FBI. In his May 11th, 1962 meeting with the FBI, Gallo clearly states that he was formerly a button man with the Profaci crime family. Larry and his brother Crazy Joe Gallo were both inducted members of the Profaci family, having become made men sometime in the 1950s. But his wording that he was formerly a button man could indicate that he genuinely felt that he was no longer bound by the code of omerta. Despite the fact that many people in the criminal life frown upon any discussions with the authorities. In addition, the Gallo crew were in the middle of a rebellion against a mafia boss and his family. Perhaps Larry Gallo was meeting with the FBI in the hope they might provide some information that could assist him and his followers in their rebellion against Profaci. Larry Gallo may also have considered that being on favourable terms with the FBI could have benefits if he was ever in legal trouble in the future. It is interesting to note from the FBI files that Larry Gallo doesn't directly provide any information that implicates a specific individual to a crime. He talks about the Gallo-Profaci war in general terms. He does of course discuss the commission and names family bosses. Again, he is definitely divulging Cosa Nostra information with regards to family structure, but not implicating anyone directly to a crime. Interestingly, after the first Gallo-Profaci conflict ended, Larry Gallo did not speak again with the authorities, which again could lend weight to the theory that Larry Gallo was trying to use the FBI to either weaken Profaci or gather information himself. Another interesting point to note is that despite what some mobsters state, that any form of communication with the authorities is considered informing, there are in fact many cases of mobsters, including high-ranking ones, such as longtime Gambino family consigliere Joseph N Gallo, no relation to Larry, who have indeed sat down on friendly terms with the authorities and had fairly candid discussions about mob activity, and yet still withheld any information that might incriminate anyone. For example, in one instance, when the FBI had overheard Gambino family mobster Angelo Ruggiero talking to his friends about putting a hit out on an FBI agent. The FBI approached Joseph N Gallo, the Gambino family consigliere, to discuss the threat that they had heard. Many people may think that in this situation, a mobster should just refuse to talk with an FBI agent regardless. But, like in many examples, Joe N Gallo spoke candidly with the FBI. In this instance, Joe N Gallo, the Gambino family consigliere, speaks openly about Cosa Nostra protocols. The FBI file reads, Gallo emphatically stated that he did not consider this threat to be a valid and meaningful proposition. He vehemently denied any knowledge of this matter. He also pointed out to Special Agent that the rules strictly forbade any retribution against police, FBI, newspaper reporters, or any legitimate government agency. Gallo then stated that the name of, redacted name, was not familiar to him, and asked S.A. if he had a photograph of this individual. S.A. replied that he would get one and show it to Gallo. Gallo again emphatically stated that he considered the above threat as totally void of any substance and that S.A. should treat it as such. It could be said that in this instance, Joe N. Gallo, the longtime consigliere of the Gambino family, is trying to defuse a situation and divert any further heat on the family. However, there are those, such as Joey Merlino from Philadelphia, who consider any form of discussion with the authorities about any mob business as being rat behaviour. In the comments below, let me know your thoughts as to why you think Larry Gallo had discussions with the FBI. I would also be keen to hear your thoughts if you think that it is ever permissible to discuss mob business with the authorities, regardless of the situation. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching.